The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, Sri Lanka's export sector demonstrated remarkable resilience and steady progress during the first 5 months of 2025. Sri Lanka has recorded 1,123,289 tourist arrivals as of the 22nd of this month, according to latest data released by the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority. The Colombo Stock Exchange continues to hold steady today, as well as both the ASPI and S&P SL20 indexes closed the trading day in the green. And US stocks paused a 2-day rally as the tenuous Iran-Israel ceasefire continued to hold and investors poured over a second day of congressional testimony from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Sri Lanka's export sector demonstrated remarkable resilience and steady progress during the first 5 months of this year, with total exports reaching 6 million, marking a robust 7.14% growth compared to the same period in 2024.
According to the Export Development Board, total exports, including both merchandise and services, reached $1,386 million in May 2025. This shows an impressive year-on-year growth of 6.35% over May 2024, reflecting the resilience of Sri Lanka's export sector and the positive impact of strategic efforts to diversify markets and enhance competitiveness. In May 2025 alone, merchandise exports grew by 1.7% year-on-year, reaching $1,028 million according to provisional data of Sri Lanka Customs, including the estimates of gems and jewelry and petroleum products. For the period of January to May 2025, merchandise exports total $5,344 million, reflecting a 5.46% increase compared to the same period in 2024. Meanwhile, service exports have emerged as a key driver of overall export growth. In May 2025, earnings from services were estimated to be $358 million. Over the first 5 months of the year, service exports are estimated to have increased by 13.20%, totaling $1,589 million. This trend highlights the rising importance of Sri Lanka's knowledge-based economy and its growth contribution to the national export earning.
Sri Lanka has recorded 1.1 million tourist arrivals as of 22nd June, according to the latest data released by the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority.
This figure accounts for arrivals between January 1st and June 22nd, 2025, highlighting a strong upward trend in the country's tourism recovery. Between June 1st and June 22nd alone, 93,486 foreign tourists visited Sri Lanka. India continued to top the list of source markets during this period, contributing to 27,504 arrivals, accounting for 29.4% of the monthly total. According to the SLTDA's latest report, other key source countries for June included the United Kingdom with 7,716 visitors, China with 6,097 visitors, Bangladesh with 5,035 and Australia with 4,594 tourists. Culminatively, for the year to date, 231,564 tourists have arrived from India, followed by 111,940 from Russia, 103,990 from the United Kingdom. These numbers reflect the growing global confidence in Sri Lanka as a preferred travel destination.
Deputy Minister of Digital Economy Eranga Weeraratne said that the FinTech Summit 2025 is scheduled to be held in Sri Lanka next September, with the aim of making Sri Lanka a technologically rich country integrated with the digital economy. The summit also aims to transform Sri Lanka into a technologically rich country integrated with the digital system. While addressing media in Colombo, he stated that the Sri Lanka FinTech Summit 2025 will be South Asia's premier digital finance gathering, designed as a comprehensive 2-day journey from strategic foundation to implementation. accordingly enabling Sri Lanka's digital economy. The FinTech Summit 2025, a landmark summit, will take place from the 24th to the 25th of September this year in collaboration with the Minister of Digital Economy, the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Hatton National Bank PLC as well. Minister Nalinda Jayatissa said Sri Lanka's Cabinet of Ministers have approved a contract to pave a yard at Colombo's Jaya Container Terminal 5 to Maga Engineering Private Limited.
The work includes the asphalting of Yard 5 of the terminal. Jayatissa told reporters the development of Jaya Container Terminal 5 needs to be completed for Jaya Container Terminal to be fully operational. The Sri Lanka Ports Authority plans to extend the jetty of existing Jaya Container Terminal 4 to accommodate 2 medium-sized container ships and to develop the real yard area to increase the yard capacity. 9 bids were received. Cabinet approved awarding the contract of Mega Engineering Private Limited based on the recommendations of the Bid Evaluation Committee and the Procurement Committee.
Let's take a short commercial break. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. The Colombo Stock Exchange continues to hold steady today, as well as both the ASPI and S&P SL 20 indexes closed the trading day in the green. The gains put turnover at past 6.8 billion with a share volume of over 400,000. The positive sentiment is expected to hold out for the rest of the week. For further insights on this, we speak with Shahana Kanagaratnam from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Anuradhi. The Colombo stock market extended its positive momentum from the previous session, closing the day firmly in the green. The market opened on a strong note and experienced some midday profit taking, but rebounded sharply to end at a record high of 17,740, gaining 205 points. Key positive contributors to the ASPI included CT Holdings, Hemas Holdings, Nations Trust Bank, Sunshine Holdings and Central Finance Company. Optimism was broad-based with active participation from both high net worth individuals and retail investors. Daily turnover reached Rs 6.9 billion, reflecting a 30% increase compared to the monthly average of Rs 5.3 billion. The diversified financial sector led the day's activity, accounting for 20% of the turnover, followed by the food, beverage and tobacco sector at 18% and the capital goods sector at 16%. Top gainers for the day were UB Finance, SMB Finance and Office Equipment PLC, while Industrial Asphalts, Mercantile Shipping Company and Laughs Power were among the top losers. Thank you.
Sri Lanka's gross foreign reserves dropped $42 million to 6,284 million, below the level seen in October of 2024, amid rising concerns that another cycle of policy errors is beginning. For further insights on this, we speak with Ranjan Ranatunga from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Anuradhi. Foreign reserves for the month of May 2025 stood at 6.28 billion, slightly declining from $6.32 billion recorded in the previous month. The declining gross official reserves during the month of May was possibly due to a settlement of debt which dragged down reserves despite the aggressive dollar repurchases by the central bank. For the month of May, which stood at $260.8 million. With net foreign purchases of $256.8 million in May, total CBS dollar purchases year to date crossed $902 million. The aggressive stance adopted by the central bank was largely due to the excess rupee liquidity in the system because of the current account surplus, which ran for the third consecutive year. Steady inflows on tourism and remittances, which surpassed $1.4 billion and $2.5 billion during the first 4 months, contributed towards the current account surplus. Meanwhile, the Sri Lankan rupee depreciated by 2.3% year to date, with slight pressure coming from relaxed imports.
Gold prices steadied in Asian trade, taking some support from a weaker dollar after President Donald Trump criticized Fed Chair Jerome Powell and called for lower interest rates. Spot gold was largely unchanged at $3,336.65 an ounce, while gold futures for August rose 0.1% to $3,347.45. Bullion saw sharp losses earlier in the week after President Donald Trump announced the Israel-Iran ceasefire, eroding the appeal for safe haven assets. Meanwhile, platinum prices remained at their highest level in over a decade. The precious metal has climbed nearly 9% this week and 30% in June so far, fueled by strong demand and tightening supply. Oil prices rose slightly in Asian trade today as a bumper draw in U.S. oil inventories helped spur some optimism over strong demand, although gains were limited by signs that the Israel-Iran ceasefire was holding. Brent oil futures rose 0.4% to $67.93 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose 0.5% to $63.76 a barrel. Oil was nursing steep losses this week after Trump announced the ceasefire. The truce now appeared to be holding after taking effect. Oil prices also benefited from sustained weakness in the dollar. The greenback clocked fresh losses on a report that President Donald Trump planned to announce the successor to Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell much earlier than expected, in a likely bid to undermine Powell and to spur expectations for interest rate cuts. The Sri Lankan rupee has appreciated slightly against the US dollar today. According to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the buying rate of the US dollar has reduced, while the selling rate has also seen a decline. The Sri Lankan rupee has slightly changed against a basket of foreign currencies, including the Gulf currencies as well. So let's take a closer look at how the Sri Lankan rupee is performing today against other major global currencies. Going in for a short commercial break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back. A new era of luxury urban living was officially unveiled as Pentara Residencies, the landmark development by Homelands Group, was launched in a spectacular fashion, marking the country's largest single investment in a high-rise residential apartment complex by a Sri Lankan developer.
Titled Signature Night Beyond the Skyline, the event marked the largest real estate launch ever hosted in Sri Lanka, setting a new benchmark of the industry. Located at Thungmala Junction, the most central and prestigious location connecting Colombo 3, 4 and 5 as well as the elite Colombo 7, Pentara Residencies is the address in Colombo. This iconic twin tower development redefines modern luxury in the heart of Colombo. The star-studded launch was graced by an exclusive gathering of industry leaders, prominent business figures, investors, international cricketers, clients, media personalities and celebrities. The highlight of the evening was the official unveiling of Pentara Residencies, led by Homeland's brand ambassador Jacqueline Fernandez, together with the senior management of Homeland's Group. The reveal was a highlight of the evening's celebrations, elegantly executed and infused with Jacqueline's signature glamour, adding an international appeal to this already iconic moment. Her presence underscored the bold global vision that defines Pentara Residencies. Adding to the evening's significance, Ms. Amaya Herath, the executive director of Homelands Group, addressed the audience with a powerful vision for the project and the industry.
Fitch Ratings has assigned an A- LKA rating to Ceylon Bank's proposed 15 billion Sri Lanka rupees debentures. The ratings agency said this reflects Fitch's baseline notching for loss severity for this type of debt and expectation of poor recoveries. The debentures were originally expected to have maturities of 5, 7 and 10 years, but now carry maturities of 5 and 10 years only. The final rating is the same as the expected rating assigned in May of this year and follows the receipt of documents conforming to information already received. The proposed debentures, originally expected to have maturities of 5, 7 and 10, now carry maturities of 5 and 10 years and are to be listed on the Colombo Stock Exchange. Lankapay CEO Channa De Silva said Sri Lanka's payment network processed 34 trillion rupees worth in transactions in 2024.
Earlier this month, Information Communication Technology Agency board member Chandima Kure said that Sri Lanka's overall existing 3.5 billion worth digital payments economy had the potential to reach 15 billion in 2030. Prime Minister Harini Amarasuriya told Parliament in February that the Sri Lankan government made a total of Rs 1.78 trillion in digital payment in 2024, up by 114% from the payment made in 2023, totaling Rs 828 billion. De Silva added that there exists a misconception with regards to the adoption of digital payments and volumes were significantly high. He explained that the issue pertaining to adoption lie within the non-urban sector and small-medium enterprises operating outside of Colombo. In the fourth quarter of 2024, the central bank's payment bulletin recorded a 27.4% growth in e-commerce payments in year-on-year terms, valued at Rs 368.6 billion. Sri Lanka's efforts for digitalization of payments began gaining momentum in early 2010s, with the Central Bank of Sri Lanka and the Information and Communication Technology Agency having played key roles in the transformation during its early stages.
Apico Insurance plc, the insurance subsidiary of the esteemed Richard Pearce and Company, recorded a profound performance resurgence from the preceding year with an exceptional profit after tax of 235 million rupees for the year 2024. This commendable increase in profitability is directly attributed to the collective engagement of the entire staff, including the dedicated field sales force operating under the visionary leadership of Dr. Callum Senanayake, Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of Apico Insurance plc. This achievement underscores the company's resilience, strategic focus and unwavering commitment to deliver value to its stakeholders amidst any challenge. The journey to victory has been arduous, with bold decisions being taken by the company on critical areas that are essential to the success of a life insurance business. And these actions, as a result, have demonstrated extraordinary fortitude and foresight in navigating evolving market complexities and dynamics. The company's ability to achieve such a robust recovery is a testament to its strong leadership, dedicated workforce, and processes that enhance the confidence of the policyholders and stakeholders. SDB Bank, with its consistent focus on fueling national development by nurturing entrepreneurship, recently signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Australian government-funded Market Development Facility to strengthen its ongoing value chain financing efforts. This strategic partnership will focus on uplifting the coconut, coffee and mango sectors by addressing critical funding and development gaps across their respective value chains. The MOU was signed in the presence of senior leadership from both organizations, including SDB Bank's Executive Director and CEO Kapila Ariyaratne and MDF Sri Lanka's Country Director Mariam Piracha. SDB Bank Executive Director and CEO Kapila Ariyaratne said that as a bank with a clear focus on contributing towards the development and prosperity of Sri Lanka, they view it as both a responsibility and an opportunity to support inclusive economic growth. We're going in for a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Most Asian stocks ticked lower as investors monitored the Israel-Iran ceasefire and approached the looming US tariff deadline with caution, while Japanese stocks bucked the trend, rising on tech gains fueled by Nvidia's record high overnight. South Korea's shares were top losers, with the Kospi index dropping over 2% amid profit-taking. China's Shanghai Composite Index edged down 0.1%, while the Shanghai Shenzhen CSI 300 fell 0.2%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng declined 0.5%. The Kospi plunged 2.2% exactly as investors booked profits near a 4-year peak. The benchmark index has risen nearly 13% this month, including this drop. Singapore's Straits Times Index was largely muted, while Australia's S&P ASX 200 edged 0.2% lower. Futures that were tied to India's Nifty 50 were largely unchanged, while the Nikkei 225 index jumped 1% to a 4-month high, boosted by tech spots and a ripple effect from Nvidia's record-setting gains on Wall Street. The broader Topix index gained 0.3%. US stocks paused a 2-day rally as the tenuous Israel-Iran ceasefire continued to hold and investors poured over a second day of congressional testimony from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell.
U.S. stocks took a breather on Wednesday, with the Dow dipping 0.25%, the S&P 500 ending flat, and the Nasdaq ticking up about 0.33%. Stocks had rallied for 2 days on the tenuous ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Investors also parsed 2 days of congressional testimony from Fed Chair Jerome Powell, which concluded on Wednesday. Speaking to the Senate Banking Committee, Powell reiterated that the Fed would wait to cut interest rates until the inflationary effects of President Donald Trump's tariffs are better known. Stocks on the move Wednesday included Nvidia, which touched a record high, closing up more than 4%. The AI darling's market value is now $3.75 trillion, making it the world's most valuable company. Tesla shares fell nearly 4% as the EV maker's European sales slumped for a 5th straight month. And U.S.-listed shares of BlackBerry jumped 12.5% on the heels of its revenue forecast hike. Once known for its smartphones, BlackBerry now sees growing demand for its cybersecurity services amid growing online crimes.
Shell denied that it was in talks to buy BP after Wall Street Journal reported that the oil major was in early discussions over a takeover of its British rival.
Shell has denied reports it's in talks with BP regarding a takeover. The Wall Street Journal said Wednesday that negotiations were at an early stage, but Shell said no talks were taking place and it was focused on raising its own value. BP declined to comment. The British oil giant has been the subject of takeover speculation for years due to the relative underperformance of its stock. It is currently valued at around $80 billion. Compared to over $200 billion for Shell. However, any takeover would be likely to face intense scrutiny by watchdogs. A deal of such size hasn't been attempted in the energy industry since US majors Exxon and Chevron held preliminary talks during the COVID pandemic. The Journal said potential terms of a deal between BP and Shell weren't known, with a tie-up far from certain. CNBC cited sources saying BP could be broken up if a takeover goes through. Shell chief executive Wael Sawan has repeatedly said his firm has a very high bar for making acquisitions, with buying back shares a better use of money.
And that wraps up today's nightly business report. We value your opinion as always, so please share your thoughts and feedback with us through email at feedback.8024english@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. We'll see you again tomorrow with the latest updates across the business globe. Until then, I'm Anuradhi Vikramasinghe. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.